Hey, it's Adam with ROAS Media. Today I want to talk about how to calculate return on ad spend and target cost per lead. And this is going to be HVAC specific. I was partnered in an HVAC company. I had to do this pretty much. This is my job to do marketing and advertising for HVAC or for them. Left that company. Now expanding to around the United States, and we have a calculator we build for each client. But someone asked me to build one specific for their projects, and I obliged. So we built one here, and it's pretty simple to actually. When I was building it, I made it kind of complicated as always, but then I simplified it. So return on ad spend, it depends on the amount of percentage of your revenue that's coming from advertising. Typically, we budget 100% of revenue coming from advertising, even though that doesn't happen. Usually, you have a callback rate. Not a callback rate. Callback rate is not good. You have a clients come back 15-20% of the time, typically, for a contractor that doesn't advertise or market to their current client base. So usually that's the case. If you do actively market and advertise to your client base, you'll have a lot lower cost per lead for those specific jobs. So service jobs come in a lot easier because they've already spent money with you. So it really depends on the type of advertising you're doing and the amount of revenue coming in from advertising. But let's say 100% of revenue, as an example, 100% of revenue coming from your ads, and you're budgeting 12%. That leads to a 8.34 ROI, or you need our 8.34% return on your ads to be where you budgeted. Going up or down eats into your profit, so be careful with that. But in general, if you're budgeting 12% of your revenue on ads and makes up 100% of your revenue, you need a return on investment of 8.3. So just take whatever your percentage is divided by whatever you're budgeting for it, and then that gets you your ROAS. Same thing with your cost per lead. It's pretty simple. Booking ratio, closing ratio, you need to know those. And then you can figure out your cost per lead if you take average value of your job times your booking ratio times your closing ratio. You'll get your lead value. And then you divide that by your ROI, your target ROI. So 8.34, and then you get your target cost per lead. So that's how much you can spend to get a lead for that project based on your booking ratio and your closing ratio. Typically, we like to do around 7 to 8% because we like to make sure that you're getting the profit you set out to get when you're advertising with us. So that's usually how you do it. It's quick and simple. You can make it complicated like I did. So you can do it on a project basis. So I know this project specifically and then you'll need your overhead number, 4% markup, and then booking ratio, closing ratio. So that gets you everything. It gets you how much you should sell the project for, materials costs, how much your crew costs an hour, and then total labor costs, project profit, gross profit, all that good stuff. Then we budget 12%, same thing, 8.3, and then you can spend $51 to get a lead in for this specific project. So the bigger the project, the more you can spend on leads. It really depends on your booking and closing ratio. Get those up, you can spend more. Go those down, you'll either spend the same amount or you'll make less in profit. And that's one of the key things when you're figuring out how much profit you make on a job is your booking and closing ratio. Cost per lead does matter, but it's going to vary from job to job and from lead to lead. So your booking ratio and closing ratio are definitely more important than your cost per lead, unless your cost per lead goes totally wild. So that's pretty much it. You can do it on a project basis, you can do it on a budget basis or a profit basis. I like doing it based on profit because I like to know how much I'm actually spending out of my profit to get a customer in. A little more difficult of a calculation. So let's say this overhead number is going to be 85, but this is including this specific client's marketing costs. Overhead usually does include marketing costs, but sometimes people don't put it in there. So if you're not putting it in there, what you'll do is you'll figure out what percentage of profit do you want to keep in your company. Let's say you want to keep 50% of the profit that you make on each customer initially in the company. You're going to need a 7 times return on investment, and then your cost per lead is going to be around $62 for a $3,000 or $4,000 project. So it really just depends on what you want to budget for. You can make that go up and down. Usually, if you don't have marketing costs in here, your overhead costs are nowhere near that, and your markup is usually somewhere around 55%. So you're going to keep more money in your pocket, so you can do something like that. Yeah, so you want to keep 30%. You want to keep 70% actually. 70%. You're going to make $1,000 per job. So this is a half a day job for 2 people. So you're going to make $1,000 for half a day's work. $45 per lead. You need a 10 times ROI on your return, on your advertising. So it's pretty simple to do. You can make it complicated like I did, but you don't need to. Just take however much revenue is coming from your advertising. So typically you just budget 100% coming from your advertising. How much of that revenue do you want to spend on advertising? 12% is typically around average for a contractor, and then you can divide 100 by 12 to get your return on ad spend. Then you take your booking and closing ratio, multiply those out, divided by return on ad spend. That'll get your target cost per lead. And we build these out for each of our clients, so it's helpful for us to know how much we can spend on each platform to get a lead for that specific service line, whether it's an install or a service down here. So hopefully that helps. Any questions, let me know. I'm going to include a link to this calculator. It's not all the way done, but it is built, so you can use it if you want. Anyway, talk to you soon.